to talk a little bit today about fear, which is a common topic that comes up in what I talk about, because I do think in many ways it's the root of a lot of the issues, flaws of the mind, things that we deal with. But I wanted to talk about it in a specific kind of context or a manifestation of it, I guess. What I've started to think about and notice is that for myself and for others, I think, there are certain topics that are so important to us for whatever reason, right? We won't get into the why behind it necessarily in this video, but there are just certain things for some of us that seem to be pre-wired in that we are very focused on. We have a great deal of fear around. And a couple of examples, it could be anything, but for some people it's financial security, right? For whatever reason, maybe it's the way we grew up, or we didn't have a lot of money earlier in life, or our parents were a certain way, but there's always this constant fear of, I may lose my job, I may not have enough money, I may go broke, right? It could also be around our kids, right? I want my kids to have a happy, healthy life. I want them I need to make sure they eat the right foods, and there's this fear that they might get sick or they might not be healthy enough. All these different things. And what I find interesting is, as you really think about that and you dissect it from kind of a Drogo kind of mathematical thinking, really check the math on it, an interesting situation plays out. So take the financial security example. You can have a person who is super, super concerned about that, right? And you say, well, what's behind that concern? What's the objective, as we always talk about? What are they actually trying to achieve, or what are they trying to protect against here? And what they're trying to achieve, the objective is they want security. They want peace of mind. They want to be able to relax and be comfortable and not have to worry about money. But what's ironic and interesting about it is that the way they are acting towards it is almost ensuring the exact opposite. It kind of gets to this topic I talked about in a prior video, that I'm angry because I want to be happy. This seeming contradiction in behavior. So I'm super stressed. I have no peace of mind about money because I want peace of mind about money. And you see it play out in ways in which, there's never... You never hit that objective. You're always, no matter what happens, you make more money, you get a new job, you're still worried I might get fired, or the stock market might crash, or you hit the lotto and you worry that somebody might swindle you and take the money away. So no matter what you get, that goalpost keeps moving. And when it comes to a situation with fear, I think that can be a really bad situation, because again, for your mental well-being, for your pleasure and happiness in life, it's setting you up in this kind of hamster wheel where you're never going to achieve it. It's an illusion. It's not real. You'll never get there if you stay on that hamster wheel. You have to find some way to kind of break out of it and see it, right? And I give the example for me, where I see it a lot is with my son. I want him to be happy. I want him to be healthy. And at times I will get crazy about making sure he eats enough and he has enough fruit and he's kind of has enough balance in his diet and he's drinking enough water and all these things, to the point where it's, I get crazed about it somewhat, and we argue sometimes, and I'm yelling, and you think about it, and I'm angry because I want to be happy. I'm scolding him and forcing him to do certain things because I want him to be okay and I want him to be good. But meanwhile, I'm psychologically torturing him in some ways, and it's so easy to get caught up in that loop. And what you start to recognize, you say, what's the math behind it? Why is that happening? Right? First level why is, well, you're concerned about it, you're afraid of it, so you're doing it. But if you take it a step further, if you really look at the work, check the math, I think what's really happening in those situations is we are actually more afraid of us being responsible for the bad thing happening than we are about the bad thing happening. So take the financial security situation. We're actually more afraid of it being that we did something stupid or screwed up or made a bad investment or didn't plan properly, and then we went broke, than actually being broke, right? That's the greater fear. With my son, in a weird way, the way I'm acting, the math would suggest that I am almost more afraid of me being responsible for him not being healthy, happy, what have you, than just the fact that he's not happy and healthy. And that's twisted, right? You talk about, math. There's a logic that makes that work in our head, but it's bad math, right? Once you start checking it, you realize it's very basic, rudimentary math, and you need to enhance it. You need to improve it. The assumptions are off, all sorts of things you can go with. And it's just another example for me. To me, it's a common one, right? It's a common one, and the value in being able to identify this and break that cycle and change from it and start to realize, like, hey, I need to worry about money. right? I can't be reckless. I can't be just spending money left and right. I can't let my kid eat Doritos and snacks all day, but there's got to be a balance, right? I have to see what's real and what's not, distinguish what is actually logical and mathematically sound, if you will, in how I manage his diet or how I manage my financial situation, and what is me being irrational, what is me working towards a different objective that doesn't actually line up. And it comes back, as it often does, particularly as I've been making these videos now for a while, to two things that help drive that. It's that mathematical, logical, adrogo thinking I talk about, and mental toughness. You need those two components. You take these situations. The first thing is you have to be able to see it. You have to be able to step back and check your work and look at the math and logically piece together that say, hey, I'm not actually acting towards the objective I should be here. I'm not acting as logically as I could, right? So that's got to be the first step. You have to be able to see that. There's got to be that way of thinking. But then two, you have to have the mental toughness to accept it. Acknowledge it, accept it, and take some action to change it, right? It's hard to accept it because it means we're flawed. It means we aren't thinking right. It means our approach isn't right. So that's hard off the bat. But then second, it takes effort. It takes energy to break habits, to break the groove we're into. Even if we know it's the right thing to do, seemingly, our mind's going to tell us, hey, that's a lot of work. Conserve your energy. Just stick with it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. So, for me, back to it again, it's that logical, adrogo, mathematical thinking and mental toughness. That's what helps solve this problem we have with fear.